riders come here for a lot of different reasons. We've always promoted the road as, something very unique. In the 11 miles, there's 318 curves.
So there's a lot of turns in a very short distance, so you're always either in a left-hand turn or right-hand turn, no straightaways. And so it makes it a very technical ride. It's very challenging for a lot of riders to test their abilities, as opposed to some of the other roads around here. Like Cherryola Skyway is another great road that's around here. It's not as technical, it's much more open, much more scenic. Lots of sweeping curves instead of very tight, short, back-to-back curves.
The Tail of the Dragon actually came into existence in 2000 when we named the road. Prior to that, it was known as Deals Gap or the Dragon.
Originally, Highway 129 started out as a Cherokee Indian trail, for hunting, hiking, travel through the area.
And then when the settlers came in and explorers, they followed the same trails. And eventually they became gravel and then paved. This road was actually first paved in 1930.
When TVA started building all the dams in the area, they turned it into a company road, and then they eventually turned it into a U.S. highway.
It was actually discovered by motorcyclists in the early 1990s when a rider came up from Atlanta and stopped in at the motel down the hill here and asked the manager, the owner, said, "Do you know what you have out here?" And the guy says, "No, what?" He says, "You have a fabulous motorcycle road right out your door." So it's been a pretty good road for a long time.
There's been a gas station here, a little mom and pop store since the 50s, and over the years it's changed owners 2 or 3 times, and back in '81 it actually became Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort, and it's been known as that ever since.
So after we got in our first motorcycle in 2000, we went riding around looking for t-shirts and pins and patches and stuff, and we couldn't really find anything that was decent. So I had a map of the Dragon that I had drawn, named some of the corners. She says, "Why don't we put that on the back of a t-shirt and sell it?" I said, "Oh, nobody would buy that." What are you talking about? Finally, she talked me into it. We went and printed about $5,000 worth of t-shirts and took them up on the side of the road and started selling them up on the side of the Dragon. And that was in 2000. The business just took off every year since then. It's just grown and grown.
There's a few reasons that this area draws so many people in. Of course, it has the reputation and name and everything. Sounds very challenging, and people want to check that off, say that they did the Tail of the Dragon, buy the stickers and buy the t-shirts, and that's cool. Keeps us going here. But there's some things that come together for this road that a lot of people say, yeah, we have something almost like this at home, but. And it's always a but. There's something that don't work. You got people that live on it. You got roads that come in on it. You've got 22 miles of playground that's just nothing but you and the road. There's no other things on the sides and everything to have to worry about. Animals and stuff like that aren't really a problem. So it's not just the curves. There's a lot of roads that are curvy, but it's the curves combined with the remoteness of this area.
There's no driveways, no businesses. It's just road, and many of the curves are banked like a racetrack.
But it also makes it difficult for help to arrive, and we have long wait times for EMTs and things like that. So you have to kind of keep that in mind too and be careful.
There are quite a few wrecks, accidents, as evidenced by the Tree of Shame behind me. The Tree of Shame got started back in the 80s with a group of Harley riders who had wrecked, and so they hung some of the parts on the tree, and like most things in tourist attractions, once one person does it, everybody follows suit, and it's just kind of taken off ever since then.
I went into a curve too fast, and there was a Jeep coming around the corner, and I was fixated on the Jeep and spazzed and hit the brakes too hard, and the bike went out from under me, and I slid down the road. Yes, my plastics in my tank are up there. I got started riding because my husband rides, and my brother-in-law and my other brother-in-law, my father-in-law. So it's time for me to start.
How long ago did you get started?
2 months.
Oh, so relatively recently.
Yes.
Was that your first pass on the Dragon?
Yes, I made it up and halfway back down. and went down. It was awesome.
Bike's total.
Bike, it's repairable, we believe. The handlebars are broke. Other than that, the frame still looks good. Engine's fine. So,
Do you plan on going back to it when you get a chance?
yes, I'm in a hurry to get it fixed and get back on it and get back down here.
It can be a dangerous ride if you don't pay attention. Just ride your own ride. Make sure you're focusing on the road. The vast majority of the wrecks that happen up here are people just ride off into a ditch and then they stand the bike back up, knock the dirt off, knock the leaves off, and hop back on their bike and keep riding. You know, very few injuries actually, but it's just pay attention to what you're doing up here.
They used to allow trucks on the road. They've since been banned this year in 2015. Tennessee finally banned any truck over 30 feet long on it.
Today on the way up, I see the semi coming and I jump behind that and he ends up hitting a motorcyclist. Coming up here is the guy that ends up getting hit by the truck or collides with the truck. He started slowing down, he saw me, and then I hear a big bang like right here. I see my guy get up and take off running. He yells my name. I think the rider of the motorcycle started slowing down, but then he saw the cab was over in the far lane coming around the bend and thought it was clear to go in his lane, so he accelerated again. My photographer said he just took off and he drove right into the the rear axle of the trailer, the tandems of the trailer, which were in his lane. And so here you'll see the aftermath. There's already a bunch of EMT people here that were following the truck, just happened to be right behind this truck so they could help. It was pretty convenient. Somebody called EMT?
Yeah, EMT big time, yeah.
Yeah, I got a satellite here.
I need another one. I need another towel.
Got EMT here.
I'm calling ambulance for the satellite. They'll be here, but it's going to take like an hour. So the police showed up and citations were written for the driver. He'll probably lose his CDL. Trucking company will probably get sued by the injured rider, and they escorted him on out. Be careful out there, you guys. You never know what's around the corner.
And one of the things we've always wanted is to promote safety on the road. Basically, we can narrow down to about 6 points that I tell people. One is stay in your lane. As a matter of fact, stay in the right half of your lane on the corners. Don't get out near the double yellow. There'll be people blowing the corner. You don't want to meet them. Keep your speed down. A lot of people will get up here with groups, and first thing you know, they're trying to keep up with somebody ahead of them. And then they get too fast, they can't control. So ride within your limits. Another one is don't overuse your brakes. You know, shift, use your gears to go through some of the corners. Trust your tires. You know, make sure you have good tires. On the Dragon, I always use a one-finger brake, not the whole hand. One-finger brake, you probably are just going to use a little bit of brake. And most of the corners, you don't even need to use your brakes. You can just roll through them. Another point is to ride it a couple times. Go both ways a couple times and kind of get used to the road itself. I've ridden it so many times, you know, we have it memorized, so we know exactly which corners we need to really watch out for. But you know, if you make a couple passes before you speed up any, the speed limit on the Dragon is 30 miles an hour. So if you're going around 30, you'll be fine. Over the years, there's been many stories about the 318 curves and how many there actually are. Technically, if you count every time the steering wheel turns a little bit, there's 250, 260 curves. The way the 318 came about is that there were 3 or 4 guys down here sitting around a campfire one night drinking beer, and one of them said, I wonder how many curves there really are. And the other one said, well, let's see, it's 129. 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 2 times 9 is 18. how about 318 curves? They said, that sounds about right. I named the corners based on topo maps, like Cooper Creek, and I named Cooper Corner, Revenuer Straight, Cattail Straight. It's a straight with just a little bend in it, just like a cattail. There's another section I call the dips. And then there's the gravity cavity, which is like riding into a big bowl and then coming out of it. In Rocket Corner, we were driving back from Knoxville one day in the car, and a motorcycle passed us and went right off the corner ahead of us. Like, oh, geez. Picnic Table Corner, where there used to be a couple picnic tables, they're long gone. There's Killboy's Shade Tree Corner. I've driven it for years and years and years, and over the years you kind of name corners. In the book Blue Highways, William Least Heat Moon said, I've got to get off the interstate. Life doesn't exist here. And you know, that's kind of always hit me just the right way. There's roads every direction here. There's roads here where you can ride your motorcycle under a waterfall. I mean, where else can you do that? It's just a fabulous place every direction you go.